you know what? Don't we all agree that we live in an ironic world, right? This whole climate change is because of the rich. It's not because of the poor who are suffering the most. The inequality that we live with, right? The adversity for the underprivileged is because of the rich. So I don't mind if they get taxed, but at the same time, being rich is not their sinful act. As long as it's, the operations are transparent and meant for a common goal. So you need a body like UN to create those common goals and frameworks.
Nidhi and Pallavi, thank you so much for joining us on Global Compass to talk about what I feel is a very important topic.
Thank you, Nilanjana.
Thank you for
Great.
having us and making the time for such a relevant topic.
Thank you. So let me start by asking, this blueprint that the United Nations has introduced for a universal tax accord. What exactly does it mean, and what does it entail for the general public? Can you just explain that to us a little bit?
So, really going back to the imperial, system where the tax practices were basically, kind of always favoring the global north, right? So we have always seen that it is never in favor of global south, countries like India, Brazil, Nigeria, and all. So with this UN global tax convention, coming up, it's actually a ground breaking initiative, I feel, that really seeks to reform the whole tax system to make it more inclusive and equitable. I'll definitely call it a historic step here.
Okay. Okay, Nidhi, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. I do. I also look at this in a very positive light, because here, Singapore is a capitalist country. It's a very open pro market and very low taxed. So I see it as a role model developed country and economy. And what we believe in, and that's what the economy, that's how it works, is responsibility and accountability work hand in hand. They walk together. So if you ask me for my personal, I think it's a great initiative.
This framework, there is a very important point in the framework, and that is equitable taxation of multinational companies. Now, how practical is that? Is it even possible?
See, I think it's really not a question of whether it is possible or not. I think there is no choice. What I feel, uh, the northern, global countries and the companies, emerging from that area, they also understand the relevance of the global south, given the kind of land we have, the resources we have, the people, the labor we have. So they really need to understand, whatever they are trying to exploit, they should not be really called as exploiters but rather contributors. And for that, we all really need to be in tandem with each other.
Now, the this proposed global tax convention, one of the goals is to attain legitimate, fair, and a stable and an all-inclusive tax system. Now, that seems to me, because in our, okay, let's talk about India. 74% of Indians support wealth tax to tax wealthy people. All right, but we know, how there are so many loopholes. People get away with it. So how can taxing the rich, if you agree that there should be a wealth tax and the rich should be taxed, how can taxing the rich achieve equitable sustainability in development?
See, I think first we really need to understand why these people who come from these big conglomerates, they need to really paying taxes. Yes, they should be paying taxes because they are utilizing a particular land, whether it is it's their own land in the developed nation, or it is India, they need to really start pumping the profits in terms of those investments back to that particular country. And if they are not doing it, I don't think they are also progressing. Definitely they have that capitalist mindset, but if I look at India, we are a mixed economy. We also understand all these things, and it really becomes an opportunity, comes as an opportunity for India also, for its government also, to really understand what this entire this taxation new taxation system entails. And if we ourselves are not strong enough in our national taxation system, because we are not able to seamlessly integrate it, whatever tax system, whether it is coming from UN or whatever it is, it's not going to work. So taxing wealthy countries or corporations, it is very important, because it is actually their duty to really understand how collaboration is going to make them progress, and also the land where they exist will progress.
You use the word duty. I'm, I'm sorry for my skepticism, but I just feel that a lot of people, of course, I mean, in fact, I was just reading up, and developing countries have largely supported the Global Tax Convention, right? However, industrialized nations have reservations, and there is no surprise there. So there was 110 in favor, there were 44 abstentions, 8 were against. That includes Australia, Canada, Israel, Japan, New Zealand, Korea, UK, and US.
Can I add? Can I just quickly butt in? And I know the word duty got us all. It caught our attention. It caught mine too. I have a bit of a contrasting opinion. Don't we all, in simple income tax format, any country, go on a sliding scale? The richer pay more. It is a very workable format, right? I earn more, I give more. A place like Australia, where we've paid close to 45% in tax, etc., it sort of works. It does work. The formula works. However, what I feel is, instead of a corporation or a multinational who has to pay high taxes or more taxes, looking it as their duty, perhaps not. What are they? Wouldn't all of us always say, "What's in it for me?" Right? So that's where I think Singapore has a very unique style. We are a low tax company. I've said country. We have said that before. We are one of the few with carbon tax coming up, and from this year to next year, the taxation is going really, really high. However, the country is really trying to strike a balance with very mindful contributions by promoting and helping these corporations who are paying the tax, by rewarding them too. They are getting grants in return to meet more sustainable goals. So, why should it be just one way? Is what I was sort of highlighting. It is not one way duty as well, right? So, it's very well said. It is my duty, and every corporation should do that. However, the governments need to participate with me in this. And that refers us to, your SDG 17, that goal of partnerships, where we are all collaborating in this together. It should not, this whole initiative should not be seen in cynicism if we are hopeful. I hope I make sense, but to me, Singapore is like a model country. Our our main financial government body, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, they are creating digital platforms to record your ESG data, and so many massive, huge corporations. I can't name them, but they are joining them. See the transparency. Everybody's working towards the common goal. Why is that not achievable? Why should I worry that I need to evade those taxes? If I'm getting something in return, perhaps I will move forward. That's my opinion, of course.
Again, the question for the reason for my cynicism, and why I'm asking whether we can do it, is because of the resistance from industrialized nations. Forcing this, imposing this on people. Who will do it? Who is going to be that authority who's going to impose this tax? Because this tax, essentially, the framework is economic, social, and environment. These are the three dimensions to the tax, right? Who is going to bell the cat, as it were?
Well, at some point, this will have to get centralized. It's a very important question that all of us, at the moment, it's happening on country levels, right? But and this entire layer of sustainability is decentralized at the moment. So I don't think I'm able to answer your question of yours by saying ABC. But if it starts at ground root level, each country takes the initiative to do their bit. Come forward and say, yes, let's at least try this out and follow policies and keep transparencies and encourage operations. I'm sure there will be a central body that will come through. At the moment, it's UN who's proposing. If you don't propose, it won't walk forward. That's
Right. So right now it's rather amorphous, but with time you're saying frameworks and structures will be made and things will progress. That's what you're saying, right, Nidhi?
absolutely, and that's what has been happening, Nilanjala, in the recent times. Small little events to large. Y- I'll give you a very layman example again. Uh, we use an app to calculate our personal emissions at work, right? Me leaving in my car or leaving in MRT or bus to get to work, having a vegetarian meal versus a non-vegetarian meal, how much air conditioning did I use? All of that I can count today. Somebody has created that to use that app, right? So I know today. This is now on a larger scale, going on a corporation level. Then it's on a country level. There's data out there. So it's very easy for me to speak because, of course, Singapore is a smaller country. It's very easy to manage all of this, right? But having said that, isn't it baby steps? So that's why I said a layman example that starting from individuals, starting from me, my home, my children, to the company, to the group of companies, to the industry, to the country, to the government. If everybody streamlines their actions, it's possible. It's really possible. How much time will it take? I'm not quoting that on camera.
All right.
But
No, but
I'm
that's
happy
very
that,
nicely put.
yeah. See, but I'm happy that at least we've started to take baby steps. Something we had been really wanting to change ever since 1920s, and these African countries, taking it up, and the first session, actually happening in this year, and the second session now in September, we actually see a treaty. So we seem to be progressing, because what I feel is we cannot ignore the potential of the global south.
Pallavi, let me again, take you up on, you've been talking about the global south and the global north, and of course, the whole concept of SDG is sustainable development growth. Now, we are on this beautiful planet called Earth, and this planet has finite resources, right? Do you think it is time for developed countries to slow down? Do you think that is the only way in which some kind of balance can be achieved?
Slowing down means what? Actually decelerating our efforts, yeah. uh, and what I really feel, rather than slowing down growth, the focus should actually be on redefining what growth means. And it's very important for the developed countries to understand the need to transition towards more sustainable practices, and also lead developing nations towards similar practices. So this economic growth should not, we need to understand, should not lead to environmental degradation, yeah. And by when if we start to understand what circularity of business practices actually mean, leveraging the technologies, sustainable technologies, countries can actually continue to grow economically while reducing their ecological footprint also. So I strongly believe that this particular tax convention can actually support by redirecting resources from unsustainable practices which are happening right now to green initiatives that actually benefits everyone.
We have been talking about renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, and a lot of efforts are being made. We're all aware, starting from Prime Minister Modi's International Solar Alliance. I mean, that's just one example. So many things, and we know how the Nordic countries have progressed in a lot. However, the fact remains, data says that still we are using more than 80% of global energy is from non-renewable resources. So while this optimism is great, don't you think that whole gap, you know, between, where we are and where we need to be as far as SDGs are concerned is still extremely large to fill? And given this entire scenario, do you think, I mean, I'm only asking about the practicality of this entire tax convention.
If it's an individual opinion, I'm sure you've already got a feeling that I come with a lot of positivity and faith in this, and I personally have lived a life of seeing progress on ground level. Right? I am not of the opinion that any developed country should be expected to slow down their growth. No, a bright student, if he is getting 100% every single day of his life, it's not his fault that the others are just struggling at 80. They were all given the same lecture. They were all given the same platforms to work with. If as a country you need to go back to work on your things, and it's not really that a developed nation is only digging into a developing nation to deplete their resources. Yes, the world has finite resources. I totally agree, and and there should be some sort of a framework where there's co-creation, co-sharing. I will lead it back to the SDG 17, right? The partnership thing, where where even developed nations should not take the developing nations for granted. There should be some form of collaboration so everybody grows together. On classroom level, what are we teaching everybody? That let's grow together, let's support each other rather than nudge each other. We don't
Exactly.
need.
What I meant by slow down economic growth was precisely this. I mean, basically indiscriminate use of resources, and somebody else somewhere else is suffering. That is what I meant.
They're very well said. And you know what? Don't we all agree that we live in an ironic world, right? This whole climate change is because of the rich. It's not because of the poor who are suffering the most. The inequality that we live with, right? The adversity for the underprivileged is because of the rich. So I don't mind if they get taxed, but at the same time, being rich is not their sinful act. As long as it's, the operations are transparent and meant for a common goal. So you need a body like UN to create those common goals and frameworks. Yes, it sounds more theoretical than practical, but baby steps.
And I would again reiterate on the fact that we should be actually focusing on redefining growth, which actually comes with shared best practices coming from different parts of the world, shared resources. So all this mechanism of shared practices actually.
Okay. So I think from what I understand from everything that you have said, it is a great idea. uh, However, still amorphous, and how practical it is, how many countries will, say, all right, let's do this, get together and work towards it. These are things that need to be figured out. But the fact that the thought has come, the fact that this proposal has come, it in itself is a very positive step.
It's very hopeful, yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of hopes with this thing coming.
Absolutely. And there will be no reform till we do this. I think you're doing something absolutely amazing, bringing these conversations, right? Let's all start at the conversation level and then get to that, baby steps to that. Before we finish this particular question, I have a very interesting example that I just read yesterday, where a very huge tech giant who's lagging behind their SDG goals here in Singapore is now actually buying renewable energy here. They are investing here and buying solar panels, solar electricity from energy from public buildings. That's the transparency I'm talking about. If you're lagging behind, you do something even better and better. You wouldn't achieve those goals if you didn't have those targets to reach.
Right. Right, absolutely. All right, all right. So I think that was rather positive, and the fact that both you ladies, you are involved in providing solutions to industry to make your operations more sustainable, right? So basically, it all starts with you. So I think what you all are doing.
We work very hard. We ensure that we have like our company here in Singapore is creating new features because we are in an advanced stage here. So we are catering to clients here with what they particularly need because we are a leap ahead, us as in the country. So this is what I meant, collaboration, right? If you really look and have a target, it's achievable.
Great, great. All right. On that note, I will end this interview and thank you both very much for taking out the time once again to talk to us. And very, very positive, both of you sounded. And I hope that at least, over the next half a decade or over a decade, we see some changes happening. I'm sorry, I'm putting a timeline to it for my own, for me to end this on a positive note, that we see some changes happening and some more progress towards achieving SDGs. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you
very
Pallavi
so
well
and
much,
put.
Nidhi.
Neha. Thank you.